Hello, welcome to ITV Calendar.
Yes, hello, good evening. Welcome to the programme. Our main stories tonight.
A slap in the face for victims. The family of a woman stabbed, beaten and buried by Brimham Rocks speak out as her killer pushes for a move to open prison.
It seems very apparent to me that his rights are foremost, not ours. He robbed Gemma of hers. Gemma has no rights.
The ugly side of the beautiful game. How West Yorkshire refs are trialling body cameras to deter an alarming rise in abuse and assaults.
Over the years, a player punched me as I was sending him off and I fell backwards, and then I ran and another player jumped on him. And then a player came and pushed me and I fell back and banged my head.
On the brink, after 150 years, the Halifax Panthers could go under if they can't raise £40,000 by Wednesday.
And around the bend, the incredible water feature sending walkers loopy along the Sheffield and Tinsley Canal. First tonight to the family of a young woman who was killed, her body left to lay undiscovered for 14 years, who are calling on the justice system to deny her killer the opportunity to serve out his prison sentence in an open prison. 23-year-old Gemma Simpson, who was from Leeds, was killed by Martin Bell, who buried her at Brimham Rocks in North Yorkshire. Well, he's due before a parole board tomorrow, but Gemma's sisters are opposing the move, which they say puts his rights above theirs and denies Gemma the justice they've fought for. They've been speaking to Lisa Adlam.
I like that one, big pearl.
Yeah.
It's a nice pearl.
The photographs may have faded, but precious memories of Gemma Simpson will always be vivid for her sisters. The horror of losing her in a brutal murder, her body hidden from them for so long, will also never leave them.
14 years we tried to live in hope, and we always thought she was going to come home.
That's all we had.
Yeah.
We just had false hope. Perhaps in some ways it was a blessing not knowing, because the truth was so horrible beyond any... It's like your worst nightmares. It's so gruesome how she died, what he did to her.
He was Martin Bell, a taxi driver from Scarborough who killed Gemma at his flat in Harrogate before burying her dismembered body at Brimham Rocks in North Yorkshire in 2000. He'd been released from a psychiatric unit 6 weeks earlier. Bell only confessed years later and was jailed for 14 years for manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. Tomorrow, he's due before a parole board with the chance he could be moved to an open prison. A statement from Gemma's family on the impact of his crime will be heard, and their opposition to the move.
And we just find it really frightening to think that somebody capable of the savagery which he is capable of will be allowed to live in an open prison for 2 years.
Especially he was under psychiatric care at the time of the offence when he killed her.
Yeah.
So he was under psychiatric services. They were meant to be monitoring him, and we know that psychiatric team had visited him the day after they killed her, while her body was still in his flat.
They're being supported by the charity 100 Families, which works with those who've lost loved ones in mental health-related killings, and also with agencies including the NHS and the Ministry of Justice on the prevention of such crimes. It's also calling for those families to have more information about parole hearings and the potential release of offenders.
We see too often that concerns around the patient's or the offender's confidentiality means that they can determine almost how much information the victims get. And I don't think that's right. I mean, if you've committed a very serious crime like this one, you know, it would seem to me that there needs to be a balance, that the offender's rights cannot trump the victim's rights. There needs to be change.
It seems very apparent to me that his rights are foremost, not ours. He robbed Gemma of hers. Gemma has no rights.
We want justice for Gemma at the end of it. We don't want her name to be forgotten, and we don't want other families to suffer through this. Other families could go through this, and that would be a total injustice to Gemma.
A parole board spokesperson said protecting the public was their #1 priority. They added their review of the case would carefully examine all the evidence and the impact of Bell's crime on Gemma's family. Gemma's sisters hope their voices, speaking for her rights, will be heard. Lisa Adlam, ITV News, Otley in West Yorkshire.
Next tonight to the crisis in football that's causing hundreds of referees to walk away from the sport. The Referees Association has even warned that lives could be lost and that referees are only ever one decision away from a smack in the mouth.
Well, one veteran of the job who's taken charge of games from grassroots right up to the top flight says that he's had to call games off after being assaulted. Now, he's now taking part in Yorkshire's first body cam trial in a bid to tackle the problem. Helen Steele reports.
A referee chased, abused and unable to continue a non-league game. In other scenes this weekend, the referee scrambles to break up a brawl between parents at a match for under-10s. It's hardly the beautiful game, but it's the reality of grassroots football. And it's ugly scenes like this being played out up and down the country that's caused the FA to take drastic action.
My name's Mike Stoddart. I've been a football referee now for 48 years.
At the weekend, Mike became the first in the Yorkshire Amateur League to wear a body cam.
Today is my 4,680th game. Over the years, a player punched me as I was sending him off and I fell backwards, and then I ran and all the players jumped on him. And then a player came and pushed me and I fell back and banged my head.
Well, Morley Town and Sisset players are on their best behaviour today, but last season alone the FA says there were almost 1,500 allegations of assaults on referees in grassroots football. And as that number goes up, the number of referees steadily goes down. The crowds here can put up with a lot, but not abuse.
Without a referee there's no game, is there? End of story, really, so no.
We have witnessed it before and it is unpleasant, especially when we bring our kids up and stuff, so it is definitely a good thing that they're trying to stamp it out and get rid of it.
Even at this game, in the final minutes, frustrations bubble over. It resulted in a yellow card, but Mike, with his camera, made sure it didn't escalate.
There were a couple of flashpoints where I had to caution two players. It will be a deterrent because while somebody's coming to abuse me or maybe think about thumping me, they will see their face in this camera here, and think, that's me.
A body cam trial took place last year in 4 leagues. It was hailed a success. Professor Tom Webb analysed the results.
One of the main issues is if we lose referees, then we don't have competitive football at those lower levels. And that can mean it threatens the sort of competitive structure that we've got, not just in this country, but globally in terms of football.
If this latest trial's successful, the results could be rolled out across the country. Mike says he wants to get to his 5,000th game, which will take a couple more seasons. By that time, he hopes abuse will be stamped out of grassroots football for good. Helen Steele, ITV News in Huddersfield.
Yes, let's hope it's a success. Now that you're watching Monday Night's Calendar with Lara Rostron and Ian White. And coming up later in the programme, anything but plain sailing, how this loopy art installation is turning heads on the Sheffield and Tinsley Canal.
And what's this about an Arctic blast heading our way? Do we need to clamber for the cardigans by midweek? All the detail a little later on.
But first, police in South Yorkshire have issued a warning after 2 toddlers were left needing hospital treatment following dog bites. A 4-year-old girl was attacked by 2 loose dogs, which were believed to be XL bullies, in Sheffield last Wednesday, while on Friday, a 2-year-old boy was bitten by a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, which was later destroyed.
Campaigners have welcomed a decision to reject Leeds Bradford Airport's plans to allow older and noisier aircraft to operate at night. Leeds City Council turned down what's known as a Certificate of Lawful Existing Use or Development application to end restrictions on certain flights. The airport itself says it's disappointed with the decision, but that it will not affect future operations, while campaigners say more limits are needed.
The airport has a long track record of just ignoring the rules, so the council need to enforce this vigorously. But for us it's a great victory because it means that the airport are now being held to account, and it shows that the council are now taking their role as regulator very responsibly.
Right, time to check out some sport now, and that glorious end to the Paralympics in Paris.
Xero accounting software. Sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Yes, Chris is with us in the studio, counting up the medals, aren't you?
Yes, I was, yeah. And we've done so well, haven't we, Lara, as well?
We've done so well in Paris, yeah.
Sadly, the curtains come down on the Paralympics for now, for 4 years at least, but not before more success for our region's athletes. No surprises whatsoever that on Saturday night, Halifax's Hannah Cockcroft simply blew away the opposition, finishing 8 seconds ahead of second place to win her second gold medal of the Games in the 800 metres and her 9th gold overall. And now Hannah's got a wedding to look forward to.
Most people will be going home and resting and going on a nice holiday. I have 3 weeks of intense planning, but then you know what, myself and my fiance, who was also competing here, we knew that if the games went our way, then getting married would just be the best celebration at the end of it, and I can't wait to celebrate with all our family and friends.
Elsewhere in Paris over the week, Mansfield's Charlotte Henshaw won 2 golds in the para-canoeing, whereas the men's basketball team featuring Harry Brown from Halifax and Lee Fryer from Wakefield won a silver after defeat to America in the gold medal match.
So I think it's fair to say a very successful Paralympics, no doubt about it. But let's talk about football over the weekend. Busy there?
Yeah, not so many games actually because of the international break. I'm sure you guys tuned in on ITV to watch the England and Scotland games. I'm sure you did. So just a handful of matches in the lower leagues. New signing Davis Keeler-Dunn scored on his debut as Barnsley beat Bristol Rovers by 2-1. Rotherham took the lead at Charlton through this superb Liam Kelly strike but had to settle for a point. The evergreen Billy Sharp struck yet again to give Doncaster the win over Gillingham and put them top of League 2. Andy Cook scored twice as Bradford beat Carlisle 2-1, and it was the same score for Chesterfield over Grimsby. Now, it's set to be a pivotal week for the Halifax Panthers Rugby League Club. They need to raise £80,000, half of that by Wednesday, or else 151 years of history could go up in smoke. Well, yesterday, the club urged fans to get down to the Shay for their match against Dewsbury and dig deep to help save the club. I went along too. Every penny counts right now for Halifax Panthers Rugby League Club. Can I ask you why you wanted to donate?
Because I've always supported Halifax ever since I was a child, so they are my club and I love them to death.
It's a good club. The stadium is really, really good, and they just need to keep going. So yeah, any little bit that we can do to help.
We've been work off. We've got to be here.
It takes 2 hours to get here as well from home.
Yeah, it's been a 2-hour journey, but it's been good. We've got to be here.
Oh, thank you.
We've seen supporters from other clubs. Some from Keighley have come. There's a few Dewsbury fans as well. So yeah, generally doing okay.
So grateful for anything because it all adds up, doesn't it, at the end of the day? So, and if it means Halifax survives.
The club need to raise £40,000 by Wednesday to pay an outstanding tax bill. Interim chairman Lee Kenny is confident this will be paid, but admits they need more cash to keep the club alive.
We are having to cut our cloth, as you would expect, so there's no guarantees, but it really won't be for the lack of trying from either the fans, the board, the staff. It's really a giant team effort.
More than 50,000 people to see Salford meet Halifax in stripes for the Rugby League Cup final.
Formed in 1873, Halifax are one of the oldest rugby league clubs in the country. They've won the Challenge Cup 5 times, the latest in 1987. Back then, attendances at the Shay reached as high as 8,000. But Halifax haven't played in Rugby League's top division for over 20 years, and so numbers have dwindled. For yesterday's game against Dewsbury, 1,600 turned out to show their support. Now, you'd think with the current financial situation at Halifax that the Rugby League itself would be almost immaterial, but the club have endured a difficult season on the pitch and need to keep adding points to the board if they're to avoid relegation to the 3rd tier. Halifax won the game 34-6, a real fighting performance from the players who were only paid half their wages this month.
It's tough times, obviously, like families to provide for and bills to pay, but at the end of the day it's out of our control and we'll have to just try and crack on and do what we can, and hopefully if we get a decent crowd and get a win for the club, it'll benefit the club going forward.
This result meant Halifax moved 4 points clear of the Championship relegation zone with just 3 games left to go. One positive at the end of a difficult week for this Rugby League club.
Certainly worrying times, Chris.
Yeah, it really is. You know, after the game, I was chatting to someone who works down there at the Shea. He's been going down since he was 5 years old. You know, he's grown up supporting that club. He was a ball boy as well. He travels everywhere now as a volunteer with the club. He said last week he was in tears at the situation that's facing it. It really matters, doesn't it, these clubs in the community?
A lot of love and affection for the club.
There certainly is. There certainly is. Fingers crossed for them. OK, finally from me, the Sheffield Steelers ice hockey team pulled off arguably the biggest result in the club's entire history over the weekend. The Steelers beat one of the biggest names in European hockey, the Vashko Lakers, on their own ice in the Champions Hockey League. Marc-Olivier Vallerand was the hero in Sweden, scoring the overtime winner in a 3-2 win. And that Champions League campaign continues on Friday at the Arena in Sheffield when the visitors are Sparta Prague. Exciting, isn't it?
It's all go, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
No wonder you said you were tired.
Not that tired.
Oh, all right. The ITV Evening News continues here at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up in the programme, the Princess of Wales relief as she completes chemotherapy. Catherine says staying cancer-free is now her focus as she looks forward to gradually getting back to work. The Prime Minister faces rising pressure to reverse plans to cut back winter fuel payments, accused by unions of picking the pockets of pensioners. And a journey weighted with gold. British Paralympians return home with a mighty medal haul. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Yes, of course we will, Mary.
Yes, now then, let's say hello to Kerry. And Kerry, you know, I don't know about you, but I think it's getting colder.
It's been warm and muggy and cloudy and murky for most of us for the whole weekend. But yes, there is definitely a change on the way, which is quite strange because this time last year on this day, we had the warmest day of the year for 2023. For Bramham and Leeming, it got to 29.5 Celsius. Our September average is 19. By Wednesday of this week, it's going to be 13, probably at best, and it's going to feel like 7. Well, why? We've got a cold front coming down during the early part of tomorrow, and it's behind that we start pulling in the air from the Arctic. So it's going to feel considerably colder, a mixture of sunshine and showers. But yes, that wind more than anything is going to make it feel like 7. It's not exactly Arctic by the time it reaches us, but there will be some colder days, colder nights, especially Thursday night into Friday, really quite chilly and down into the single figures.
It's winter coat time, isn't it?
Winter coat time, yeah. Gritters are out, maybe, but it would be, yeah. The road surface temperature is going to be above, so I don't think the gritters are out, but it's good to be prepared ahead of the winter season, and members of the public are being asked by to help Sheffield's new fleet of gritters. Their gritters are out. Popular suggestions in the past have been Spready Mercury and Gritney Spears. But this year the council wants, wait for it, 12 nicknames inspired specifically by Sheffield. I've gone with Steel Gritty instead of Steel City.
Nice one.
That's good. So if you can do better than that, then we'll show some at the end of the programme, hopefully.
All right, thanks. Get your thinking caps on.
Not easy, is it? Now, a brand new artwork in Sheffield has been turning heads and attracting news coverage across the country. The Loopy Boat is a canal boat that appears to do a full 360-degree loop-the-loop.
It's amazing. It's part of an effort to get more people to visit the waterway in Tinsley. And the eye-catching exhibit has been doing just that. Adam Fowler went for a look earlier on today.
There's a new canal boat down by Tinsley Marina, but there's a bit of a twist in the tale. The 13-metre-long artwork can't be boarded or sailed anywhere. It's on display here permanently, and it's the latest creation of artist Alex Chinnock.
We've been working in the area, the Tinsley area, for 8 years, so this is our third public artwork in that time. The first was a peeling road with a car hanging upside down. The second was a postbox tied into a knot, and this is the third and final piece in the series, and it's a permanent one.
The looping boat is made of rolled steel and bears the name The Industry, after the first vessel to navigate the Sheffield and Tinsley Canal when it opened in 1819. It was Alex's biggest challenge yet.
The site is really difficult. Working on water is very hard. I don't think I'll ever do it again, to be honest. You can't get a vehicle to site. So we had to transport the artwork in 2 sections, 2 miles along the canal system. The loop itself is believed to be the tallest structure in 70 years to navigate the canal. We had to drop the water in some places by 70 centimetres to get it under the railway bridges. It's been about a 2-year project. We've been fabricating it for about 8 months or so. They're long journeys, and it's really nice to finish them. And then it just becomes a public artwork for the public to see and hopefully enjoy.
The artwork was paid for by British Lands and E.ON, and it's hoped it will encourage visitors to this part of the canal.
What do you think when you first heard the idea of what they were after here?
I love art as much as the next person. I thought it was quite strange, unusual, but I'd seen some of Alex's work before and it was quite special, and the finished product looks excellent.
It was something that has a really positive impact on local people, the area, hopefully the health and well-being of local people coming down, visiting it. It's just such a great thing for Tinsley, for Sheffield itself.
It just stops you in your tracks, makes you think, oh, what's that? How was that made? What does it do? And there's so many things to be said, like it or not, there's so many things to be said about it.
School children will be brought here in groups to visit the site and meet the artist. And no doubt, conversation here will revolve around the looping boat for a long time to come. Adam Fowler, ITV News, Sheffield.
Looks amazing, doesn't it?
It does, and just looking at it makes me smile.
I love walking along the Sheffield and Tinsley Canal now and again, and I've been along there and I've seen all sorts of things, but I've never seen anything quite like that. I think I'd be a bit shocked to see it because it just looks
it would,
so different.
Can you imagine, living on something like that, with a great big bend on it?
You would be going around the loop.
Slide down, couldn't you?
You would indeed,
Yeah.
you would indeed. You would definitely be feeling loopy.
We like that. Loop the loop. OK, let's go to the weather now and catch up with Kerry. It's a bit miserable.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Yes, it was a mild and murky start first thing this morning. Quite a damp start with a lot of low cloud over higher ground, but we did see conditions improve from the west during the afternoon with some sunshine around. We're basically in between weather fronts. The first one pushing south and eastwards this morning, then the slightly drier and clearer conditions, but we've got another front now working its way in from the northwest as we head deeper into tonight. So we'll just see an increase in cloud amounts over the next few hours, much higher risk of catching some showery rain, especially over higher ground, a few showery outbreaks pushing eastwards but drier here, and the last of the milder nights for a couple of nights, so towns and cities certainly staying in double figures and the winds strengthening certainly over the Pennines by the time we reach dawn. 6:32 and 7:33 are your sun times as we head into Tuesday. Cloudy skies, showery outbreaks of rain first thing. We've got a weather front sinking south quite quickly during the morning, and it's behind that we're introduced to that air from a northerly quarter. The winds will whip up, could be gusts, maybe 35-40 miles an hour right over the tops. There will be some sunshine. It won't feel too bad in the sunny spells, but if you're out of the sunshine, under the cloud and under one of those scattered showers, it's going to feel quite chilly and certainly knocking a few degrees off those temperatures by the afternoon. As we head towards the evening, again a mixture of clear spells and showers, and then as we head into Wednesday, a rash of showers, still some sunny spells, but that significant wind chill feeling more like single figures for many parts of the region. Under the clearer skies on Thursday into Friday, it does look like improving, so a cold start to Friday but mostly dry and bright.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
So there you go, just to clarify, the road surface temperature early hours of Friday 3 to 5 degrees, which is not cold enough for the gritters to be out for now, but that's quite cold for September for
No,
sure.
but we did need to talk about the gritters because we need these names.
We need 12, have we got 12?
Well, we have got some. What about this? Arctic Crunchies from Jen Francis, that's one idea.
And Snow Cocker, is it, from Beverly
Oh, Joe
Charlton?
Cocker, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or you could have Joe Elliott from Def Leppard.
Yeah, you could. And what about this one from Melissa Bullymore? Greta, Sue and Bob too, as in Rita, Sue and Bob too, the film, which is actually set in Bradford, not Sheffield, so maybe a bit confused there.
Yeah, but at least it's up north.
It is. That's it for now. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.